All right. Happy New Year, everyone, and welcome to the Washington Ethical Society. My name is Amy Foltz, my pronouns are she, her, and I am today's officiant. WES is one community unified across time and space, gathering for these Sunday platforms to affirm our values and commit to a better world. So I want to welcome those of you who are here in the hall, those of you who are watching on Zoom right now, and those who are catching the recording later on. If you are on Zoom, please check the chat for a welcome and various tips from Paul Baker, who is today's Zoom chat usher. If you're here in the hall and would like an assistive listening device, please ask the tech team in the back. A special welcome to our visitors today. We would love to get to know you and answer any questions that you have. To get on our email list, you can fill out a connection form at tiny.cc/wesconnects or send an email to wes@ethicalsociety.org. And if you're here in person, we invite you to stop by the welcome table after platform or chat up anybody wearing a white name badge. I'll now check our Zoom chat to see who's attending remotely this morning. We have a good morning and happy new year from Laura DeShulo and the furry companion Calmia Trixie. It's good to connect and to share this time together. Unfortunately, our senior leader, Casey Slack, is ill and is unable to participate and lead today's platform. But I'd like to thank all of the wonderful behind-the-scenes WES volunteers who have rallied together to provide some alternate programming for today's time together, as we wish Casey a speedy recovery. Opening words this morning are from Albert Camus. In the midst of winter, I found there was, within me, an invincible summer. And that makes me happy, for it says that no matter how hard the world pushes against me, within me there's something stronger, something better, pushing right back. Today's opening song is Soon and Very Soon, We Are Gonna Change the World, performed live by our wonderful returning musical guest, the DC Labor Chorus. All right. Thank you so much for that. Each week, we read our statement of purpose as a reminder of our shared values. If you are interested in taking a turn to read the statement of purpose, you can sign up at tiny.cc/readsop. You can read it here in person or make a recording that will be included in a future platform. Today's reader is Shirley Storms. You may recognize her as a longtime WES member and a phenomenal artist whose work is on display out in the main hall right now.
Ready? Okay. The Washington Ethical Society is a humanistic congregation that affirms the worth of every person. We strive through our relationships to elicit the best in the human spirit. With faith in human goodness, we appreciate each person's unique capacities. We joyfully celebrate together and support each other through life. We nurture a sense of reverence and responsibility for each other and the earth. We invite you to join our community of children and adults as we work for a world where love and justice cross all borders.
Thank you so much, Shirley. As Shirley lights our community candle, I invite everyone to join in our candle lighting words. May we kindle within us the warmth of compassion, the light of understanding, and the fire of community to build a brighter future for all. Let us now enter into the centering time of our platform. Each week, we read this chime in solidarity with people around the world. Today, I'm particularly mindful of anyone who's suffering from disabilities and despair in a world that sets up needless and cruel obstacles to accommodating our human bodies and diverse needs. As we listen to this chime, let us remember our connection to each other and to the world around us. Let us open our hearts to compassion for those who suffer. And let us commit ourselves to the work that calls for our love. Our meditation today is a recording provided by local UUA leader, Reverend Megan Foley, entitled Life Abundant.
Hello, friends. I'm Reverend Megan Foley. I am a middle-aged white woman, have short white hair and clear-colored glasses, and I'm wearing dark clothes today. Join with me for this time of reflection and meditation. I'm a lazy gardener, I have to admit. So that was the reason that I first got into planting bulbs. You know, these things. They're not much to look at, but if you can tell which end goes up, you have one of these and an hour to spare, and you don't mind getting dirt on your knees, you can bring a little magic to a part of your yard or anyone's yard that might be in need of color, life, or just a good surprise when spring rolls around again. The first time I planted bulbs, I must confess I was doing it as a chore. I was thinking ahead to some time in the future when this bulb would transform into something else absolutely beautiful, tulips or irises or something even more incredible. In a time of year that was brown and drab, I was trying to plant some insurance, some bit of hope for a future time when I would be surprised and delighted by what would be coming up out of the ground. Who wouldn't want to have a hand in making magic, getting a funny brown ball to turn into a beautiful flower? What I didn't expect to love was the drab, brown, dirty planting itself. Aside from putting an actual child to bed, nothing feels more cozy, comfy, or tender to me than planting a bulb. You make a little ground nest for your round friend, You make sure the up side is up so that when it's ready to stretch, it will know which way to go. And then you tuck it in. You cover it all up with some soil and you give it a few pats. You wish it well in the cold weather, knowing it is protected and safe. It is all I can do not to end with, "There you go, sweetie," with each little one. Planting bulbs itself is not a chore. It's an occasion of peace and love, like holding a sleeping child. It's also an occasion of hope and faith in a future you cannot see, like, well, holding a sleeping child. But its value is not only in the future, it's in the now too. I wonder what in your life and in the life of your faith community is like planting bulbs right now. Are there things you're struggling through, the only reason being that you think they'll flower later? Is your vision only attuned to future bounty and beauty? Or is there a way for you to attend to this planting of these sunny brown balls, or their equivalent, in your life, in your world? Is there a way to tuck all that you love, all that you find peaceful, into little nests just where they need to be? Is there a way to care for the funny little things around you as if they are your children, knowing that so much more is to come, sure, but that there is a time of richness and abundance happening right now? Please join me in the spirit of prayer or meditation. Place your feet on the floor. Feel your hands in your lap. Close your eyes if you'd like to. Breathe. Spirit of life, you are with us when you are bursting forth with colors, and you are with us in our brown underground seed times too. Help us to notice life abundance, even when abundant evidence is in reserve. Help us to find the joy and peace in the brown and dirty planting we may be doing. Help us to know that the planting itself is valuable. Be with us so that we can foster your magic, life-giving works in all seasons. Amen.
plowshares beat your sword. Nation shall then roar no more. And into plowshares beat your sword. Nation shall then roar no more. I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the rivers, down by the rivers, down by the rivers. I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the rivers. Ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no. Study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. We're gonna shake hands around the world. Down by the riverside. Down by the riverside. Down by the riverside. Gonna shake hands around the world. Down by the riverside. Gonna study war I ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no. Study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more.
All right, wonderful. Today we have a story for all ages entitled The Bridge of Flowers by Leah Lakshmi Piepzna-Samarasinha, and it is read by the Reverend Dr. Sophia Bettencourt.
Our story today is adapted from one of my favorite authors, Leah Lakshmi Piepzna-Samarasinha, and it is called The Bridge of Flowers. Now, I need you to know that this story is told in the voice of a young girl who loves her family very much. Here we go. I am quiet, and I listen a lot, and that's why I get to tell this story. So here's what happened. My mom, Soraya, is a witch. And that means that she listens to people talk and she makes potions for them out of flowers and dirt and rocks and sometimes even spit to help them with their problems. My Papa, Kamau, is a scientist, and they spend a lot of their time looking at tiny pieces of moss under lots of different microscopes. When Mom and Papa fell in love, they planted 2 trees, close enough together that they could be near each other, but far enough apart to have room to grow. So Mom cast a spell, and Papa settled down lots of fertilizer, and the 2 trees grew quickly and really, really tall. Now, Mom and Papa really love each other. They don't always love living together. Right, Soraya has a tendency to leave crystals and lipstick and bacon grease everywhere, and Papa likes clean counters so that the bacon grease doesn't end up in their experiments. They fight about this sometimes. Soraya thinks that bacon grease and crystals and lipstick are part of the magic. Papa says clean counters are magical too. So eventually, Soraya and Kamau decided to live close together, but also apart. And they built houses, tree houses, in those very same trees that they planted when they fell in love. And most importantly, between the 2 houses, they wove a bridge of flowers so you could get back and forth whenever you wanted to. That bridge had roses and sunflowers. It had little yellow flowers whose names I don't remember. It had cactuses, one of which was the parent of my own personal cactus, Agnes. You'll hear more about her later. It was a beautiful bridge, and it allowed us to go back and forth whenever we wanted to see each other. Now, my sibling Kumar, after a while, added a skateboarding ramp to the bridge. They would go to the bridge, do an ollie, land on the ramp, go around and do the whole thing again. It kept our family woven together. Me, I stay inside often, and I journal, and I'm quiet. Sometimes outside is just too much, but late at night, when the whole world is listening, I like to sit in the middle of the bridge and breathe. Now, one day, times got really stressful in the world, and Mom tried to help more and more people, and she picked more and more flowers from the bridge for her potions. And Bappa, they were doing more work to try to clean the air, and they took more mosses and lichens from the bridge. They did this work to support the community, and they picked more flowers and more mosses and more lichens. And one morning, when we went outside, we saw that they had picked too much, and the bridge had collapsed. Mom and Bappa started fighting about whose fault it was. We just don't have time to deal with this. And they went back to work. This is something parents do sometimes when they're stressed. But Kumar and I didn't think this was okay. Some members of the community suggested that we didn't need a bridge. After all, Soraya had a ramp, Kamau had an elevator. It wasn't as if we couldn't get to each other. But Kumar and I liked the ease of back and forth. What if I left Agnes in the wrong house? What if Kumar needed their backpack? We decided something had to be done. Now, I don't always get along with my sibling, but we talked about it and we strategized and we came up with an idea. So I went to Mom's cabinet, you know, the one she doesn't lock because she trusts us. I took some of her magical honey and her special dirt and seeds, and Kumar took lichens and mosses from Bappa's lab. And we came and we brought our hands together and we thought about what we most wanted. We closed our eyes and we wished for that to come back into being. When we opened our eyes, the bridge was back, but it didn't just connect our houses. It connected our houses and our libraries and the place where Soraya and Kamau go for organizing meetings. It connected us to the shelter and the food bank and all around the community. And the bridge was beautiful. So we went to wake up Soraya and Kamau to show them what we had done, but they were already awake. They were up late, working on saving the world. But they came outside with us and saw the bridge, and it was good. So it turns out that I have magic too, even though I'm quiet. Or maybe because I'm quiet, I have magic. And it's good to live with people you love and to sometimes have enough space for yourself and for growth. And the truth is that sometimes when we least know what we're doing, it's when we are at our most magical. And that is the end of our story.
You enjoyed that story because our platform speaker today is again the Reverend Dr. Sophia Bettencourt, who is the 10th president of the Unitarian Universalist Association. Reverend Dr. Bettencourt's 20-year ministry has included serving as a parish minister, a seminary professor, scholar, an environmental ethicist, and a public theologian. Her own personal scholarship focuses on environmental ethics of liberation in a womanist and Latina feminist frame. She holds a PhD, a Master's of Arts, a Master of Philosophy degrees in Religious Ethics and African American Studies from Yale University, a Master of Divinity from Starr King School for the Ministry, and a Bachelor's of Science from Cornell University with a concentration in ethnobotany. Her talk today is entitled Seeds for the New Year.
My beloved housemate and chosen family, the Reverend Dr. Devorah Greenstein, has been excited about winter sowing lately. This is the practice of starting seeds outdoors in the winter months, long before most of us think about planting gardens. It's a fairly simple and practical idea. Most gardeners save plastic containers from around the house that we might otherwise recycle, and we prepare them with soil and seeds and lids. so they can protect the potential that they house through the coldest months of the year. Why do we do this? Couldn't we look at beautiful pictures and seed catalogs instead and dream of all that we might plant in the spring months? I know that that has long been my personal practice. Why would we follow what for some of us are the winter holidays by tucking tiny kernels of life into unlikely spaces? I've decided to embrace this idea of setting seed long before signs of life will be visible as a type of leaning in to the new year. How many of us, like me, have gotten into a habit of disparagement at the year's turning? I remember holiday ornaments in 2020 that had language I probably shouldn't repeat in the pulpit without good cause, woven into these beautiful snowflakes. I think we still have a small plastic dumpster with flames coming out of the top as a representation of our disparagement and dismay with the year prior. I can't remember if it was 21 or 22. Politics, pandemics, and ideologies have turned what I used to associate with fireworks and other festive celebrations into a kind of creative dismissal of all that has come to pass in the prior 12 months. Don't misunderstand me. I fully embrace the power of humor that allows us to laugh our way closer to hopefulness and possibility. We need more of that. And I'm not here to censor how we keep ourselves going in difficult times. But as often happens in my life, I can hear the echoes of my grandmother's teachings when I get a little too comfortable in how I process all the things. She used to teach me about the magic at the turning of the year, and she encouraged me to do whatever thing I most want to spend my time on or have shape the year to come, just as the clock strikes midnight on December 31st. I think this is related to that tradition of kissing a loved one right at the end of the countdown. Her encouragement reminds me that even in those most difficult years of active quarantine in the face of this ongoing pandemic, there were beautiful things to be proud of that didn't belong in the dumpster fire, for all that it made us laugh in those isolating days. A lot of that pride for me was grounded in the ways that our congregations and communities showed up for one another, showed up for the work of justice. It was grounded in my gratitude for our religious professionals, for our lay leaders and our nationals UUA staff as they pivoted and resourced and supported us through the unknown. Most are still recovering from that nonstop labor. Beloveds, we leaned into community care in profound ways, and I am so proud of how we continue to do so, even as many of us, though not all of us, experience fewer restrictions in our activities than we did then. We built magical bridges, the very kinds of connections and interdependence that we continue to live into together in new ways. Those bridges between and among us require tending, as does the religious witness that we hold together in the world in common cause. In the story that I shared for today's service, we learned about a family negotiating their relationships to one another in their day-to-day living. In The Bridge of Flowers by Leah Lakshmi Piepzna-Samarasinha, she invites us to consider the beauty in how we intentionally maintain our connections to each other and invest in bringing our values to bear in the world. This unique bridge connecting people across love, across differences in how they approach everyday life, their belief systems, and community engagement still allows for the creation of beauty and magic, as beauty and science and magic weave together a path that can be navigated by everyone. It keeps them connected to their children, to their people, keeps them connected even when stress seems to rob them of their joy. I probably don't need to remind you that when times were difficult and two people who loved one another profoundly gave more than they could sustainably give to maintain and support their surrounding communities, the bridge of flowers collapsed. Not only did it collapse, but some outside of their nuclear family discouraged them from rebuilding the bridge. Soraya had a ramp after all, and Kamau had an elevator. It wasn't as if they could no longer reach each other with enough effort, but the love at the center of their living space was missing, and it took beauty and magic from unexpected places to reweave the interdependence that had long nurtured that family. I can imagine my grandmother telling those children to hold the seeds and the dirt and the honey and the spores together at midnight at the turning of the year. Of course, we still have time to set intentions or to weave magic for 2024, and the purposeful naming of what we most long to turn our focus toward feels important in this story. What are you most proud about from 2023? In what ways did your congregation or community encourage you to live more fully into all that you hold most precious in this past year? How did they surprise you? How did you surprise yourself? Imagine that the great potential of our liberal and liberating tradition could be nurtured through the coming months in something as simple as a reused gallon jug. Maybe there is soil in the surrounding area that is already adapted to the climate where you live, or maybe you have collected seeds from plants that have grown more savvy about their surroundings over the years. I believe that our Unitarian Universalist faith is uniquely suited to the work of justice, to showing up for the rights and freedom of all. We have everything we need to respond to these times, even in moments of devastation or fear, even when bombs fall, even when ideologies of hatred and separation are lauded around the nation, even when the bridge that holds our hopes and dreams manages somehow to fall. There is a power and a hopefulness in how each one of us can set our intentions for the coming year and not wait on sun or bird song or better weather to do the work of new growth. Right? Earth itself can cradle our dreaming as we gear up for all that is yet to come. To put those kinds of efforts at faithful living into another kind of theological context, I want to remind us of the writings of the Reverend Kenneth Patton on the Temple of Beauty. I consider Patton one of our modern Universalist theologians whose draw to universal religion was such that he theorized the idea of a religion for one world, and he worked to bring it into being at the Charles Street Meeting House in Boston. This was Patton's commitment, the seeds he planted into the great potential of our faith. For Patton, universalism needed to be expanded. It needed to be made large enough to become an expression that included a universal humanity, universal peace, universal welfare, universal health, universal freedom, universal security, universal science and understanding. I can imagine him reweaving a bridge of flowers with these words from his 1964 book, A Religion for One World, where in trying to describe for us how we might learn to live together in community with all of humankind, he writes, "This is one world. You are one humanity. Live therefore in peace and till the garden of the earth. Make your days and the years of your children a glad time upon the earth." Patton believed that religion, when drawn beyond the bounds of any one culture any one expression or any one group of people contained within it the possibility of bringing into being all that is most right in the world. So here, goodness, freedom, justice, understanding, kindness, consideration, and the dismantling of discrimination and prejudice all reach their most noble, compassionate, and complete dignity, grace, and power. It's a lot to expect from one universal tradition. But Patton believed that the potential for this possibility lay within reach, if only we could learn and find good ways to describe it and to teach ourselves how to recognize it in its echoes through human art and human culture. Now, I know that we have learned a great deal about the dangers of trying to define one big T truth that is available for all people. Right? It's not the availability that is the issue. It's the likelihood that one dominant group's perspective will be elevated as the ultimate goal to the erasure of all other cultural and communal expressions. That is not what Patton is calling for. But still we know, right, to hold ourselves accountable to the impact of power in those scenarios. But what I most want to hold on to from Patton's thinking is the very practical idea that liberals need good language and ideals to describe the things that we most long to bring into being. Our very pluralistic approach to Unitarian Universalism can make agreeing on shared language difficult, and without it, it's hard to collaborate with one another or to hold on to all that we hold dear. For Patton, the highest ideal that we can strive for in all of our efforts is beauty. I don't think he meant that in a temporary or frivolous or vain kind of a way. He writes that unlike goodness or truth, words that we often lift as ideals in our tradition, beauty includes the highest expression of our values. Right? He argues that there can be truth that is not beautiful, goodness that is not beautiful, but that beauty as its core is both truthful and good. And he reminds us that every expression of beauty born of our human interconnections serves as a kind of prophetic witness to what might best heal this world. Patton calls us to build temples of beauty. For me, those would probably take the form of gardens, and to fill them with everything that will preach our greatest ideals on our behalf. So what beauty do you most want to call into being in 2024? How are your congregations and your communities leaning into all that is most needed in this coming year? How are you helping to keep those bridges well tended? From the perspective that I am privileged to hold as the president of your Unitarian Universalist Association, I can tell you that there is already a lot to be proud of in our efforts in community. I hear from our field staff that care for each other far beyond the bounds and the limits of Unitarian Universalism remains the bedrock of this faith. I hear from our organizing strategy team again and again as they work with partner organizations around the country that they are thanked for the ways that you serve as the dependable core of volunteer efforts for justice in their communities. I get to witness the ways in which our national level volunteers all across our tradition give their very best to keeping the values and the ideals of Unitarian Universalism alive in the world. And sometimes I get to sit with a few of you in small groups where I'm told again and again how this faith saves lives. Beloveds, I'm not here to tell you what seeds to plant in the coming year. I can tell you some of mine. In this shared ministry and with the wisdom of so many others by my side, I am tucking the seeds of climate justice into my winter sowing this year. Alongside it go the seeds of democratic strategy, bodily autonomy, and decriminalization. With your dedicated national staff, I get to plant seeds of accountability in ministry and congregational life, seeds of leadership development, resource production, ministry with youth and families, and greater equity among our religious professionals writ large. Together, we will continue to sow seeds that protect the most vulnerable among us, and together we will you the vote again in this coming year. The garden of my dreams is born of the great potential that I know lives at the heart of this faith, and the love that we call into being at the center of it all is more than enough to help our dreaming bear fruit. Loves, these have been challenging times, and the beauty that we bring into being together will be enough. May 2024 shower you in blessings, and may you in turn take those blessings and share them in the world. Thank you for all that you are and for all that you will yet do. May it be so. Amen. Ashe, and blessed be.
Many thanks to Reverend Dr. Sophia Bettencourt for providing today's message. In a few minutes, we'll have our community sharing time, where you can write into the Zoom chat or share in person at the microphone what resonated with you in today's platform. While we listen to today's musical response, you might prepare by reflecting on a personal experience, an activity at WES, or what you're planning on sowing for the new year, and what all that the platform has brought to mind.
We need the Buddhists and the Baptists, the Quakers and the Catholics too, atheists and agnostics, Muslims and the Jews. We need people of all nations, all colors and all creed. Put an end to war, put an end to greed. Gonna take us all, make a change, take us all to win the peace. Gonna take us all in the streets, gonna take us all, gonna take us all. We need the immigrants and the unions, Greens and the gays, hip-hoppers and the beboppers and the women for equal pay, farm workers out in the sun, homeless out in the rain, seniors and the soccer moms for a world that is humane. Gonna take us all, make a change, take us all to win the peace. Gonna take us all in the streets, gonna take us all, gonna take us all. We need your friends and your neighbors, the poets and the painters, socialists and the anarchists, the pacifists and the humanists. Every culture and community takes black and white and brown. Times we won't see eye to eye, but we'll stand on common ground. Gonna take us all, make a change. Take us all in peace. Gonna take us all in the streets. Gonna take us all. Gonna take us all, make a change. Take us all in the peace. Gonna take us all in the streets. Gonna take us all. Gonna take us all. Gonna take us all.
Thank you so much again to our wonderful musical guest, the DC Labor Chorus. What a way to start the new year! This is the time when we add our own voices to the morning, sharing our reflections on the platform or what resonates with our personal experience. For our online participants, I invite you to share in the Zoom chat or in the comments if you're watching the recording later. If you're here in person, you can come to the microphone here on the floor and share your brief comments so that others may also share. Let's start by checking to see what the online participants have written in the Zoom chat. We've got a shout out from Eric Moyer. They say that the DC Labor Chorus is awesome as usual. Couldn't agree with you more. Cynthia Goodman says, excellent platform to start the new year, and thanks to the Reverend Dr. Sophia Bettencourt. And some shout outs for the lovely meditation that was led earlier as well. Now let's turn our attention to the commenters in the hall. Please begin by saying your name and if you'd like to share your pronouns, and please be sure to keep your comments brief so that others have a chance to share.
Hey everybody, I'm Robin. My pronouns are she and her. I was really struck this morning. So every summer I go to a retreat in North Carolina with moms from all over the country. And we kind of do like this really soulful weekend of sisterhood with people that like you meet online and share these values with, but have never met in person. We do community singing, and we sing Vine and Fig Tree every summer, which was one of the earlier songs that the DC Labor Chorus gave us today. And the line, nations shall learn war no more, has become like a chant in our circle, because for those of you that know my partner, he works in the Air Force with nuclear weapons, which I disagree with, so our house is really unique. And so I really appreciated that song and like the soulful, like how it's turned into a chant in my life with all of my mama friends. And combining that's a biblical story with a lot of the religious language from our speaker today, I was sitting in actual like appreciation to be in a space where I can hear religious language and it feel good, which is not something I had growing up. And so it's a definite growing edge for me to be comfortable with language that I used to not be comfortable with. But I'm so glad to share in a space where we can grow and kind of take back things that were maybe taken from us early in our lives. So.
Morning. Excuse me. Perry, he, him. As I was listening to our videos today, I was reminded of serving a few years ago on the leader search committee that found our senior leader, Casey Slack. And in describing WES's dual affiliations, what the committee told people is that WES is an ethical culture society that also belongs to the UUA. Most of us do not think of us as an ethical culture society and a UU congregation, although technically we are. But the metaphor today of the bridge between two different ways of looking at the world seemed like a really apt context for hearing not an ethical culture platform address, but a UU sermon. I think that this was a great experience for me, a great opportunity for many of us perhaps to get a little experience of what it's like to be crossing over that bridge in our identities.
Thank you to all who shared this morning. Really appreciate your thoughts and your attention. And just as we share our perspectives in this community, so too do we share our resources and gifts. Here at WES, we split all undesignated gifts in the Sunday collection between our operating budget and a fund that is dedicated to justice and compassion. And during the month of January, WES is pleased to support Sister Song. Sister Song is a Southern-based organization dedicated to building an effective network of individuals and organizations to improve policies and systems that impact the reproductive lives of marginalized communities. Sister Song mobilizes a vast base of supporters in rapid response organizing to protect the rights of women of color and other marginalized women and trans people in the South. They organize marches, rallies, petitions, and social media campaigns that attract the attention of key decision makers in the media. Issues Sister Song focuses on include abortion and contraceptive access, the criminalization of women of color for miscarriage, abortion, or for protecting their families, and more. You can learn more about this vital work at sistersong.net and in a video on their website that they have produced called Visioning New Futures for Reproductive Justice. So let's all take a moment to prepare to respond to the invitation to generosity as we're able to. To donate online through the Simple Give system, text an amount to 202-335-1885. Go to tiny.cc/wesgives or click on the Give button on our website, ethicalsociety.org. To donate in person today, you can place cash or check in the basket at the back of the hall on your way out, and you can always send a check by mail. So thank you for your generosity. We will now receive your gifts of music.
Going on.
Well, that was just lovely. Thank you so much again to the DC Labor Chorus for providing a wonderful blessing of music for us this morning. And thank you so much to the many people who helped create this morning's time together. Today's platform speaker, Reverend Dr. Sophia Bettencourt, and our guest musicians, the DC Labor Chorus, our senior leader, Casey Slack, and staff members Indara Miles, Robin Kravitz, and Maceo Thomas, and of course the platform production volunteers, the awesome tech team members in the back, slide artists, Zoom chat ushers, and in-person greeters. Before we wrap up for today, I want to mention a few things upcoming in the life of our community. On Monday, January 8th, the Lifelong Learning Team is continuing their series Through the Stages of Life, Planning for the Future, with a presentation on healthcare decisions. This virtual meeting will take place at 7 p.m. tomorrow, Monday, January 8th, so please RSVP for the Zoom meeting if you haven't already. You can register for the virtual workshop with a link that's on our website, or you can contact Trang Duong with questions. Last month, WES hosted a fabulous platform given by John Kavanaugh and Robin Broad, where we learned about the Santa Marta Five, a group of Salvadoran water defenders who were unjustly imprisoned 1 year ago. This Wednesday, January 10th, from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., WES's Global Connections Committee is supporting a local call to action at the Salvadoran Embassy to condemn their unjust imprisonment and show our support for our friend Antonio Pacheco and the 4 imprisoned water defenders. Please join fellow WES members and others of goodwill at the Salvadoran Embassy at 1400 16th Street Northwest at 4 p.m. on January 10th. If you have any questions, you can direct them to Ross Wells at rosswells99@gmail.com, and we truly hope to see you there. Later this month, the WES Community Relations Committee, or the CRC, is teaming up with the Lifelong Learning Team to continue their series about confronting harmful power structures that disconnect people and can show up in ourselves, our community, and society. On January 28th, right after Sunday morning platform, please join us for a discussion about quantity over quality mindsets. And that's it for today's announcements. As always, you can find information about opportunities to connect in the weekly news and notes email and on the calendar page of WES's website, ethicalsociety.org. And if you're new to our community, please introduce yourself in person or via the connection forms at tiny.cc/wesconnects or send an email to wes@ethicalsociety.org. At the conclusion of this platform, please join us for social hour, either here on Zoom or at tiny.cc/wescoffeehour. I'll now invite you to join in our closing music and closing words.
This morning with my mind stayed
All right, and now for our closing words. Let us go into the week ahead with compassion, understanding, and commitment, seeking liberation from the margins to the center. Thank you all again for joining today's platform in person or remotely. We look forward to connecting with you again.